Hey friends, welcome. Last week I showed you what I thought was probably one of the worst vacuum cleaners ever made, the atrocious Goblin Housemaid. As we all know, that machine was from the 70s. They didn't know what they were doing back then. It was a dreadful time. So you'd think by the 90s that the vacuum cleaner manufacturers would know what they were doing and we'd get some decent machines. That's not always the case, and in fact really when you think about it, that was the time that things really went downhill. From the mid-90s onwards, certainly past 2000, we were getting some pretty atrocious machines, and one particular machine from the late 90s certainly fits the bill of being absolutely atrocious. You don't see many of them anymore, mainly because they were so terrible they basically fell apart. Just in normal everyday use they would break terribly. And that machine is the Electrolux power system line. I have one here to show you. And it's the subject of today's video. So, what was so bad about these cleaners? Well, where do you start really? I actually bought one of these brand new in May of 1997, and if memory serves, that was the 1720 model. It was the green one, and it came with the cyclone cassette. So obviously at that time Dyson was making huge marches into both volume and value in the vacuum cleaner world with DCO1, as we all know and love, DCO2, I think DCO3 had launched at that point as well. Oh, it had, it was 96 DCO3 came out? So everyone was going down the bagless route, and Electrolux thought, oh god, we're losing market share here, we need to do something about this. And their answer, unfortunately, was to stick the atrocious cyclone cassette onto their Y-Track line, and also to come up with the power system line. So this particular machine, as you can see, is actually an Airclean. So this is like the top of the range, bit dusty, sorry, top of the range version. I don't think the Airclean came with the cyclone cassette. I know the lower models did. This is a, yeah, it's a 1740. So it's the top of the line machine. It didn't come with the cyclone cassette. This was a bag only, because being Airclean, it's the high filtration type. So sticking that god awful cyclone cassette onto it would certainly not have been high filtration. In fact, there's barely any filtration whatsoever. One of the reasons these machines were so bad and so short-lived was because of the design of the chassis. Here, it's incredibly weak. This ratchet pedal here is just barely held on. It's barely held on out the factory, and you'll find most of these would just flop down when you pick them up. Amazingly, this one still has its ratchet in place. The chassis just used to break on them. They used to snap. They used to wear out. The brush rolls as well were particularly awful. They were a real weak point. The bearings are not good quality. The brush roll itself is not good quality. It's just nasty plastic. The only redeeming feature I would say about this particular line is the motor. The motor was exceptional. This one is a 1500 watt, and it's like a proper classic Electrolux motor. You know, when you say that, you can picture a Lux motor like they used in the 330, 345, the 2000 series machines. That motor was exceptional, and it was really good. And the power system uses that style of motor, but obviously with a pulley on the end to drive the brush roll around. So it's twin fan, 1500 watts. The amount of air it moves and the suction it creates it's really quite something. I used to have as my bench vac, I used to have a Z930, which is the big round silver commercial Lux from 1983, and I put a power system motor into that, chopped off the pulley, and made it fit. It was one of the most powerful machines I've ever seen. It was a really good bench vac. Unfortunately, in this application of the power system, because there's a lot of filtration going on here, it has an S-class filter in this. It's a pretty decent filter actually. It does its job very well, but because that motor is so powerful, it creates an awful lot of heat, and this plastic is not good. It is just really nasty, cheap plastic, and it used to get very, very hot, and of course it used to melt. Well, this is tricky to get in. Bad angle. Hang on, bear with. There we go, back in. And in fact, the whole machine is just really, it's really bad, and it's quite surprising that Electrolux charged what they did for it. I mean, the one I got in '97, I paid cost price for that, and I think that was about £130, excluding the VAT. So if you add on VAT and you add on the retailer markup, you're looking at £200 easily, and that was for the 1720. I think the Airclean version was probably around 250 quid. That's a lot of money for a really bad vacuum cleaner. So as a nomination for one of the worst vacuum cleaners ever made, definitely the Lux 1700 series. Also, they used to go, they have this, the switch is here in the handle, if I show you, like that. So this is meant to, you can hear it click on and off there, but it's meant to go click, click, click for its varying speeds, but it just wears out, so now it becomes like an infinitely variable speed selector. If you look on the back as well, I'll just turn it around for you. You can see here, the hose is alright, it's a decent hose, it's okay, but we have these really nasty cheap plastic winders for the cable. It's all held in with these little lock screws. They, you lock in and lock on and lock off. They used to break. Yeah, and just all in all, it's a terrible vacuum cleaner. But yeah, it's quite nice to have one. You don't see them very often now. So I think what we should do is get into the lounge, turn it on, and let's see it in action. God, I can't even turn that.